I saw it at a convention, and I was like, so what is
Eddie's
it? They
gonna
fight
bring that
with
up
their
after a meeting.
dicks. Is
They
like, the
fight-
ghost is like, no, you think I'm kidding.
Yeah,
they fight with their dicks.
In 1996, Scholastic began publishing Animorphs. Over the next 6 years, Katherine Applegate and her husband, Michael Grant, under the pseudonym K.A. Applegate, produced 54 main series books, several spin-offs, and inspired a TV series, graphic novels, and a cult following. We can't tell you where we live. We can't even tell you our last names. But we can tell you our thoughts and feelings on this series, book by book. I'm Miranda.
I'm Eddie.
And I'm Chris.
And we are the Anidorks. These may be kids' books, but we discuss dark themes and mature content. There may also be some explicit language. Listener discretion is advised.
Should we jump into Andalite Chronicles?
Yeah, I guess
Probably.
we should.
How does this book start?
An
How does
alien
this book-
dies.
Oh,
An
yeah.
alien
Did
dies.
you kill an alien?
But not immediately. We thought we were... It's actually... So this is really great because at the end of part 2, they're like, there's no air. We're all going to die. And you turn the page and it's like part 3, an alien dies. And you're like, how is there still so much left in this book?
Yeah.
It's just a totally different book that Scholastic rolled in to get you hooked on another series because the series ends here.
Yeah.
But no, there's air. We're breathing again.
It's also important. It's chapter 33 for
Never
those
mind.
following along.
There's
home.
not. We're still
There's
dying.
no air. It's sort of how like when you can't eat, all you do is talk about is food. When you can't breathe, all you do is wish you had the air in your lungs to talk about air and how great it was.
Oh, so wonderful.
Yeah.
Love it.
I am sucking down some great air right now.
And Elfangor wants air, but he's also not so sure that he wants air. He's also
That he
like, maybe I
deserves
don't
air.
want air.
Yeah, he's like, maybe if I have air, I have to face all my problems.
Yeah.
And honestly, I've been there, okay?
Yeah.
He's in a metaphorical and a literal black hole, or he's approaching one.
Yes, we're being sucked into a black hole.
Right. It's all happening very fast and yet very slowly.
Yeah, it's weird. The air thing, very fast. The black hole thing, much slower. Both certain to kill us.
Yeah. What were the life goals that he failed on so hard?
Oh, yeah, no, we get a list of failures. I do this every morning after my positive affirmations. I actually do a list of personal failures. I find that order sets me up right.
You might want to flip the order.
Okay, so he says, my life was a disaster. I had failed in so many ways. This is all relatable. Failed to save
Let me count the
Arbron
ways.
from being trapped forever in Taxon Morph. Failed to stop the Yerk called Visser 32
Ooh, I remember that.
from stealing the body of my prince, Alarin Zemitor Koros. Failed to defeat the surprise attack of the living asteroids. This one, I don't think he should
It's
count.
so
No one
not on him.
is prepared for the surprise attack of the living
Sure
asteroids.
as hell wasn't. Yeah, Lauren was like trying to explain the situation to him all last chapter, and he was like, "What? The rocks are alive?" And she's like, "Yes, you idiot, and they
rocks are
eat
alive."
power."
Yeah.
Like, come on.
And then failed even to protect the 2 humans I was supposed to take care of. This one also I take issue with because I don't know why we're protecting Chapman at this
It's
point.
complicated
Yeah.
when they're your kids, Eddie.
That's
Yeah,
true.
that's true. that's
When
true.
you birth an abomination such as Chapman, it's hard. You know, you got to take them to abomination school where they teach them horrible ethics and how to be a real shitbag.
Okay, regardless, worst of all, Elfangor says, I had failed to deliver the time matrix to my people. The time matrix, power beyond imagination.
That sounds like a tagline, right? Like, that sounds like what would play at the end of the TV ad.
Yeah.
For sure. Tune in next week for the Time Matrix. I've been watching a lot of anime, and the one that I'm watching, at the end of every episode, they do a little snippet of the next episode to come, and at the end they say, "Don't miss it." And I'm like, I sure as hell won't, and I press play right away.
Elfangor's not alone. We have Visser 32,
No
who
one
we know
is alone.
as Visser 3, and we have Lauren, right?
Yeah.
Chapman?
There she
Chapman.
is. Chapman's somewhere. Who fucking cares?
He's floating.
Shannon's in the basement. Think about the government. Anyway.
But, he's like, you know what? He looks out and he sees a collapsed star, that black hole sucking everything into it. And he's like, you know what? Yeah, let it end.
Let it end. Let's, this is a nice place to resolve.
And then when he does finally look over and see the abomination, Visser 32, what is he doing?
What do you mean, what is he doing?
What is he doing? He's swooning.
Yeah.
From lack of
Oh my God!
oxygen.
I'm sorry. I remember this so distinctly because our dainty theater boy Visser 32, soon to be Visser 3, he can't do anything without a heightened sense of drama.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Oh, he is. And Elfy just is already standing mad for Visser 32.
Yeah.
He's like, oh man, I was with this guy when he was sub Visser a billion. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was 7.
Yeah.
Wait.
This is what he's choosing to live for, even though he'll try to convince himself it's the female
It's Lauren,
human.
unconscious, never to
Yeah.
be conscious again.
Yeah. We get...
That's what I say every night as I go to sleep. I'm like, well, I will be unconscious, never to be conscious again. I did sleep 15 hours last night, so that feels
Nice.
pretty
Nice.
on
Can we
That's
just
luxurious.
compare? This is, I think, more evidence that they were originally planning for 3 separate books here, because we are getting everyone reintroduced. We get, I saw the Abomination, Visser 32. Now, yes, Abomination has a negative connotation, but you don't throw that around. That has weight to
No,
it.
you saved that for someone you used to really care about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
You
breakup word.
You can't, you're not born an abomination. You have to start good and become an
Yes.
abomination. Otherwise,
And
you're
frankly,
just a dick.
It's not for you to decide. Other people have to give you that gift if you
Right.
are the
You
abomination.
can't just walk
Yeah.
around calling yourself
Right.
the abomination. That's not how it works.
Right. Until it's recognized in you, you can't be the abomination you want to see in the world.
Right.
Yeah. You can't hate someone that much unless you've already loved them so much. Then we get a resume, the only Andalite controller in the galaxy, the only Yeerk ever to gain control of an Andalite body. This is an impressive creature. He was swooning from the lack of oxygen. I think Elfangor's projecting a bit.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it, though. I'm thinking about it, right? We talk about swooning. And when we talk about swooning, we talk about spooning. No, when we talk about swooning, you
talk about mooning. Bringing back the moon.
swoon when someone is, beautiful, right? You swoon. Maybe it's just that it's always meant you're passing out. Because I always think of swooning as, like you said, Chris, mooning. When you moon, with your eyes. When you swoon, you're just you know what I mean? But maybe it literally does come from someone being so hot you pass out.
It is just, you can just swoon. It doesn't work here. It just doesn't work. I can't make
No.
it work.
No,
it
it
can't
there's a
work. I
couple
tried
of
to help.
Visser 3.
Yeah,
There's a couple
it totally
of real
works 'cause it's Visser 3.
weird word choices. We'll get to one, I think, next chapter that I also take some issue with. So let's move on. It's
Okay.
all very sexually charged, is all I'm saying.
I just want to contrast it with Lauren, though, because
Well,
we
they're
get
all
Lauren,
finally alone.
Elfangor's love interest, and we get it was Lauren, the female human, unconscious, never to be conscious again.
okay,
This is. It's
we
like
do also get that she's large and soft.
where
In
is
the,
that?
in the sentence before, he says, I felt something large and soft bump into me.
He's such a hopeless romantic, that Elfie. But you're absolutely right. For the abomination, he has language like swoon, and then he turns right back into an alien when it's a human girl. It's just yeah.
We just need our broad so we can have another comparison. But
Oh yeah, if he had another Andalite to work with, he would be a friggin' Don Juan. Wait, what?
Don Juan?
It's Don Juan.
Don
No,
Juan.
but in Les Mis, they
In Les
specifically
Mis,
say Don
they say
Juan because
as
they're
a
French.
joke.
It's
Yeah, because
like-
they're French. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then he plays Danganronpa, where he reaches the final conclusion that, without life, there's no despair. But without that life that can contain despair, there's also no hope.
Oh
Right?
Yeah. And Obama was but a twinkle in all of our eyes at this point, so we didn't even know what hope was. We
I
had to
thought you just couldn't
collectively-
understand what Danganronpa meant and thought it was Obama related. Which
That too.
honestly, one of the students by the end of Danganronpa gets the title Ultimate High School Hope.
Nice.
And I guess it really, I'm just saying Makoto Naegi is Obama. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Nice. All right. I'll take your word for it.
So yes, Elfangor comes to the conclusion, I had no right to erase Lauren's hope, no matter how bad I felt. So he tries to save himself and the others. So he's trying to reach a panel that, will activate oxygen? Again, will release
I guess so. He's just like, if I can get to that panel, I can do something. And he gets some good lines in here. Honestly, it's like I was making jokes about, just give up feelings. But a lot of these it reminds me that a large part of the symptoms of panic attacks do happen when you hyperventilate and aren't actually getting enough of the oxygen you need. Because he's like, I searched my crazy swirling nightmare world with all my eyes and found the panel I was searching for. I focused on it with my stock eyes, striving blearily to keep them focused. And I'm like, oh man, I've been here.
But then Lauren comes to just enough to realize that she wants to give Elfangor a big shove.
Yeah,
and so she gives him a big shove towards the panel, and he manages to get oxygen to happen in the nick of time.
Yep.
Yes.
Who's Nick?
We haven't met Nick yet.
Okay. Yeah.
Mom's gonna be so confused. Listens to this episode, comes back with great episode, Who's Nick?
Lisa and Marie are going to be discussing it on their walk.
Yeah.
And Lisa will be like, I think it was a joke that your children made at your expense.
So Lauren and Elfangor have this little exchange where they're talking about...
There's a stiff mechanical knob. Just wanted to throw that in there.
Nice. Get that in there. Yeah. Jeez, I missed that.
But of course, Visser 3, also he comes back to consciousness here too, right?
Yeah.
I guess if we have to, but you're saying his name wrong.
Visser 32.
Visser 32. And if we thought Lauren's description was a little lacking, honestly, I think Chapman's not on the same level as Visser 32's, but still sort of better than Lauren's, because even though it's one sentence, we get the other human, Chapman, was still unconscious, drifting lazily against the far wall like a rag doll.
Yeah.
It is basically the closest you can come to like actually killing a character, but like, because he's done away with. We're done with him.
That's true.
For now.
Yeah.
Like,
For now.
Yeah. Yeah, but they're just like, yeah, he's just stuff in the air. He's not even a person anymore. He's just stuff.
Before Visser 32 pops into the scene, Elfangor condescends to Lauren a little bit about black holes. He's surprised that she knows so much about them. And he's going to be surprised that she knows other things before the end of this
He
book.
condescends to her the entire damn
Yeah.
book. He wouldn't believe her about the living asteroids. It's like,
So he's going from that, and then suddenly he hears, there's only one way out, Andalite. Visser 32. The very sound of his thought speak and voice in my head filled me with rage! He immediately starts wondering who would win in a tail fight.
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's true.
Yeah, it's really funny too, because it's like, it's just imagine them like really flailing around in zero gravity. Is there gravity again yet?
No.
No,
We get
I think there's still-
a lot of tail talk over the next couple chapters, because
A
like
lot.
he's thinking about the tail fight, and then Visser 3 is immediately like, he says, what will be gained by you and me slashing each other up with these excellent Andalite tails? And then Elfangor immediately responds, you have a better idea? I can think of a lot of good reasons to go tail to tail with you.
Yeah. And if you subscribe at the $3 Patreon level, you can see what
Our
emoji
drawings.
I
Yeah.
used
Oh, what emoji you used?
to describe my reaction to that statement.
That is true. There's
Tweet
a couple,
at us with your guesses.
There's a couple of those in there, and every time I saw them in the notes, I went, ew.
Yeah. Hey, you could have found a different non-sibling to do this podcast with, but
So they're talking about the fact that they're being propelled towards this, or being sucked into this black hole. Visser 3 reminds Lauren and Elfangor that there's one way out, and that's the time matrix, which is strapped to the they're not sure. They
It
think
was
it's
strapped with energy ropes,
Yeah.
and since the asteroid ate energy, we think that those are probably gone.
Energy ropes are probably spent. They're probably
Energy legs.
yeah. they're probably like no better than a bunch of weird Twizzlers.
the living asteroids are not a threat now though because there's no energy in the ship. Right?
No,
Yeah, it seems
we're
like they
very
left.
lucky that we haven't. It's like how robbers aren't a threat when you're broke. It's like, you took it all.
Bro, you live like this? Like,
Do we think the living asteroids ever come after the Animorphs?
Oh, they better. They better come back. And frankly, I think that's where my fanfic's gonna start. Is with the living,
asteroids.
Everyone having
Yeah.
to join forces to fight
do you think
against.
maybe?
No, I'm gonna
you
do
think-
it from the living asteroids perspective, baby. I'm gonna make the Animorphs again, but as living asteroids.
But like, what if? I'm just saying, what if it's like a Jonah and the whale situation where the asteroid grew around the ship, but all the Andalites are like still in there, just like living their day-to-day lives?
Oh, they're not dead? They sounded pretty dead in the last
No,
chapter.
it sounded pretty dead. I'm not like for sure, but
So, new idea. They almost die here, so Elfangor has to use the morph cube on the living asteroids, and that's where
Well, why
our book
couldn't
series starts.
Elfangor
why couldn't he just touch it?
touch it exactly and put it in a tranquil
No,
state?
I guess he would have had to open the hatch.
Or
But
I
for a
thought the
morph
Animorphs
like that-
in the future,
For
they
a
could,
morph like that,
Yeah.
worth it.
there's no
yeah,
rules
I
about
wanna
what you
be
can
a-
morph into, right? In terms of
Oh,
size or anything.
he could be one of those rocks in Central Park. You know, one of those big rocks that you get to climb in.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I think that the important thing.
there's really big rocks.
not
in
living.
Central Park.
Like, why are you talking about?
And
Well,
why
if
are
they
those
were-
the big
what if they
rocks
were-
you think of?
They were really big.
There are
And they're in the
bigger
middle-
rocks.
Not that I've seen. I'm a city kid.
Hence Central Park.
Central Park.
Central Park.
Anyway,
The only
all
rocks you
the-
know.
The only rocks. Those are the biggest
The
rocks I've
only
ever seen.
rock sign.
The only living rocks in New York.
So
basic-
I was doing.
Did you get my joke?
That's great. I love it. The only living rocks. It's great. But I was doing
I didn't get that.
the big rock that I used to climb. Maybe an Andalite.
Is this from Shenandoah?
Yes.
Yeah, that's not a reference. That's nothing. Mine was a Paul Simon reference.
Okay.
Shenandoah is a real show.
Just to take us out of chapter 33, Lauren, Elfangor, and Visser 32 have to join forces.
I'm gonna interrupt. Right? I'm gonna have to interrupt. I'm putting that in title contention. The only living rocks in New York.
No, it's
Okay.
amazing. It's beautiful. And
That's
just
not how we make our titles, but
one other thing that is interesting, after we determine that the energy ropes are probably gone, Visser 32 and Elfangor do some quick math and decide that gravity means that the time matrix is probably still there. And I'm not 100% sure what they're saying there. I don't know if they're saying that because they're trapped in the black hole's gravity, they're moving in the same direction and it's still there, or if they are implying that the ship is so large it has a gravitational pull.
That is what they're implying, and
Oh
that's
my
non-negligible.
God.
And that's what I think they're implying. And I looked it up. I picked some numbers, so I decided that the ship. Let's be generous and make it a little bigger than it sounds. Let's say that it's the size of the space shuttle. Now, the space shuttle was huge. Like, it's probably smaller than
very
that.
big.
Let's say the time matrix size of a VW Beetle. It feels roughly right.
Okay,
Like,
yeah,
it was,
sure. I
it's-
think
it wasn't.
did we get like it was like 10 meters across or something?
How big? 10 meters is huge. That's way bigger than a
VW Beetle, yeah. I don't remember if we got a description.
Again, this is napkin math here.
That's
but
true, that's true.
Even with these numbers, we're looking at a quarter of a pound of force on the two bodies together. So they
That's
attract.
not nothing.
It's not nothing.
Especially in zero gravity. Like if they're
That's
not
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Go ahead. I
No,
wasn't trying to.
sorry, I'm now looking up if I wanted to see.
I'm looking at Seropedia.
I'm looking to see if there's ever a description of how big the
Oh, be careful.
matrix
If you get
is.
this.
It's way in the middle of the book.
I'm not going to look at any more descriptions.
Oh, I could ask ChatGPT how big it
Or
is.
you could ask, what is our website that we use?
How big is Anidata? I could, yeah. How big is the time matrix in the Animorphs series. Enter. Oh, come on. Just send it to my best friend ChatGPT. Okay, hold on. No spoilers. Immense power, alter timelines. Go, give me some size, bud. Yeah, but how big, though? What did you find, Eddie?
I'm just staring at chapter 34.
According to ChatGPT, they never say the size, so I think a VW Beetle is reasonable. It's generous. It's generous.
I get the feeling that if they were going to describe it, they were going to measure it in VW Beetles, actually.
It was perhaps 10 feet in diameter.
10 feet in diameter. I'll tell ChatGPT they're an idiot and that they're wrong. Nice. 10 feet in diameter. 10 feet in diameter is a VW Beetle.
Sized.
I could not tell you how big that is, so.
The Beetles are small. I looked up the OG, like.
You also have to remember that the Beetle's not a sphere. So if we're talking about similar mass, despite not being a sphere, the VW Beetle's probably longer than 10 feet.
Right, but it's also got empty space.
Right.
So this could even be heavier.
So at the top of chapter 34, where we find ourselves is one Andalite will have to be reeled outside on a rope or cable, and another Andalite will have to hold that rope. It's almost a Survivor challenge. Every time I listen back to our episodes, I think, maybe I'll stop making Survivor references, but then they just
This is secretly a Survivor podcast. If anybody has a problem with it, tweet at me. And by tweet at me, tweet at the AnidorksPod account, at AnidorksPod.
So we're going to have to work together. Team fucking shit. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Yeah,
says
my
Visser 32.
Yeah.
And he's like, and then Elfangor's like, we would have to open the hatch, we'd all suffocate again. And Visser 32 reminds us that as
I have Alarin's stash of pornography and air.
Exactly. As Alarin's controller, he has access to all that info. And he's like, there's 4 air hoods.
And 5 hustlers.
Now Scruffy's gonna die.
Does he say I have access? He doesn't say he has access to all of Alarin's ship information. He says, you forget, he says this in a very creepy way, but very intriguing too. You forget I control Alarin, and this was his ship. I know all the ship's secrets.
Gets weirder when you remember that the ship is named after his wife.
Yeah.
It really
I know
takes
all
it to
the
a
ship's
next...
secrets, including how she likes it.
Does say that.
And I know about the Domino's order after.
Yeah, but the only secret that we get is that there is a small supply of emergency hoods. So Elfy ends up being the one to go outside.
He does. He pushes back a little bit because he's like, no, I'm sorry. Visser 32 kind of pushes back because he's like, you'll just activate the time matrix and disappear. And he's like, I wouldn't leave Lauren. Search Alarin's feelings. You know it to be true. And he's like, yeah, Alarin noticed you had a thing for her. It was kind of weird.
It is weird. Alarin needs to get a life. Or a wife. Or whatever.
A ship.
He has a wife. He has a ship.
He has a ship. I was wondering, is she still around? Did I ask that on the last episode of the podcast?
Yes, we've wondered, do we think she's dead or alive? And
I can't remember. This is the problem with doing the editing and the review and the thing. It's like, I literally can't remember what I've said or what I've thought I've said at this point.
Yeah.
I did have the thought at this point when Visser 32 learns how Alarin felt about the Elfangor lore intention, that like I feel like it was at least Arbron and Alarin, and now also Visser 32, all have really weird feelings about the fact that Elfangor has kind of a girlfriend, and there's just a lot of uncomfortable...
Yeah. Just a quick point of order, I just jumped back to book 8 to look at what Alarin said when we saw him.
Oh, this was a good thing to check.
And he said, I was once a war prince, I have a wife, I have 2 children.
Oh.
So he at least doesn't know, they weren't dead when he got infested.
Good thinking. Good thinking.
Yeah. But I think he's just the type who, he doesn't like going home. He likes to...
No, for sure. He's like, I have a wife, I have 2 children, please send them my regards.
This is my real life. Yeah.
And tell her husband I miss him.
Now, don't we get in book 8? Oh, you're saying this was in book 8?
Yeah, that was book 8.
Oh.
That's what Miranda looked up.
Yeah,
I jumped to the end of
Miranda's-
book 8.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I know he mentioned, like, he sent a message, so I'm like, who did he mention in the message?
Do they think he's dead? Is that what he says?
He just says to tell them he still hopes. And no, they probably don't think he's dead, because they probably know he's Visser 3.
So the next thing that happens in this book is like the most boring thing, and I don't know why it's in this book. They now have a montage about making the rope to reel out an Andalite to get the time matrix, and they say it really just took a while to get enough. Wires aren't that strong, and we had to bundle them together. And I'm just imagining like one of those like old timey machines and just and they're cranking and they're making this weird wire rope. I don't know why the energy ropes wouldn't still work. I don't know.
Well, because it ate all the energy.
Yeah.
There you go.
There's a lot of describing here. I think.
Maybe energy ropes are made of pure energy.
Yeah,
that makes
that's
sense.
what I assumed.
That's what I imagine.
Yeah, damn it.
We get a lot of descriptions that if you have to write, you probably know you don't need to include them in your book. True to his claim, Visser 32 found 4 air hoods. Now, if he found 3 functional and 1 broken, maybe mention that. But I feel like at the point when you have to say true to his claim, and then also, basically, they were just clear plastic bags that you flipped over your head.
I know.
I
it's
can't
an empty
do this,
now.
man.
It's
How
a
can you
fucking-
publish a children's
Right.
book that says put plastic bags
Yeah,
on your head
insane.
to play
It's
spaceman?
insane.
And they help you breathe.
It isn't far off from what like early divers did with the diving bell and whatever. Like it's like but it is a bad idea.
But also,
kids don't do that.
These
don't put bags in
wonderful
your head.
plastic bags contain oxygen, other gases, as well as subtler ingredients.
Yeah, that's infuriating. Subtler ingredients is infuriating.
It's doing a
hate
lot
it.
of work.
It keeps you from depressurizing in space somehow.
Yeah.
Well, but like, is that the subtler?
You don't think it's just like a hint of lavender?
I think it's just. I really think it's like scent. Yeah,
It's
I think
Alarin,
like,
so it's incense, I feel like.
Yeah. It's actually a quantum virus. We're about to find out.
You fools!
These are bags of quantum virus. I merely crossed out quantum virus and wrote air on them.
Or what Visser 3 would do, future Visser 3, when he grows into himself, he would just put plastic bags in that secret compartment, and then they would die.
Regular
because-
plastic bags.
And he'd be like,
yes, exactly as I planned. Yeah.
and he himself would die as well.
These magical plastic bags full of air will only last 5 minutes. They have 5 minutes, and that's it.
The plastic bag thing actually makes it a lot more uncomfortable. That I know they're saving him, actually. But they say we tied one on the still unconscious Chapman.
It's really funny.
It's so funny.
poor
It's like
especially,
a brutal murder.
Yeah.
especially because it's like they're going to be gone for some amount of quote unquote time. Like, I know it's the time matrix, but like, he's just going to die 5 minutes later.
Right,
Like,
because even if we turn the air back on, if
Right.
the air in his plastic bag runs out, he's
now
just
he's just
got
wearing a plastic
on his
bag.
head.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love we get a caddy Visser.
Can't stress this enough, kids. Don't do this.
Yes. We get a caddy Visser 32 line where he just says, Alarin is so right about you. He actually says, you're a
So
moralizing,
right about
arrogant, weak-willed little fool. But I just feel like he's gossiping with Alarin about Elfangor.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
OMG, Alarin was so right about it.
It's like when he got in his head, they had like a little dish sash, you know what I mean? They're sitting there, she's like, so let me fill me in. Who
Catch
are
me up on
we?
a-
Who do we like?
Yeah, what's who do we like? Who do we like? Yeah, what's my motivation? Ever the professional.
So Elfangor does go out to fetch the time matrix, and
You get a beautiful description
Yes.
of a star being sucked into the black hole.
Oh yeah. No, read that. That's really good.
So it says, I stood in the doorway and stared out at space. Below me, huge, beyond imagining, was the swirl of dust feeding the black hole. At the far edge of the swirl was a star. The star was being drained by the black hole. A huge, long, arced plume of hot gas was being drawn from the star into the black hole. How many times can we say black hole?
On tonight's episode of saying
Black
hole. The other thing is, Lauren gives Elfy a rundown of how sarcasm works. Just before.
Yeah, we start with sarcasm.
Yeah, but I think it's just important to note because I think it might get a callback later.
It does.
Yeah,
because it's happening when they're opening the hatch to let Elfangor out. He's like, keep an eye on Chapman. You know, we don't want him to get sucked out. And she's like, we don't. And she's like, ha, it was a joke.
And then she's like stabbing Chapman as she says that.
We also get this amazing moment when Elfangor describes the Jahar. He's looking at it.
Oh my
Yep,
god!
this is my
God,
other
'cause he's
slutty
floating out
word
to get-
choice.
Yeah,
Go for it.
So we,
yeah. Say it in your sexy voice.
do I have to?
Yeah.
I looked back along the axis of the Jahar. Her elongated oval and 3 rakish engines and wonderfully long shredder spike still looked so potent.
Potent. Why are they rakish? What does rakish mean? Is there a meaning to rakish that I don't know? Because to me, rakish means like a man who sleeps around.
Yeah.
Rakish means like slatternly. If you've ever seen that famous Jeopardy clip of Ken Jennings, there's a question. It says, this term for a long-handled gardening tool can also mean an immoral pleasure seeker. And Ken Jennings, head by $20,000, goes, what is a hoe? And he goes, no. He says, they teach you that in school out in Utah. And he gives it to the other person. And he goes, what is a rake? And he goes, correct.
That's mind-blowing. Do you guys want to know what the second definition of rakish is?
Sure.
Especially of a boat or car, trim and fast-looking with streamlined angles and curves. A rakish Chevrolet.
God damn it.
Yeah.
God damn it. I wanted it to be a
know.
slutty ship.
It is a slutty,
It is a slutty ship.
I mean,
That was
Chevrolets
already-
are slutty cars.
It
It's
says
true.
something that we
And
already
love
had
We
that
love
vibe
that.
before this moment. So
That's
Yes.
true.
it
That's
says something about
exactly.
how we describe cars.
It does. It says a lot about how we describe cars.
I don't understand the human attraction to cars. I don't know if it's that we secretly think there are overlords, but people have ridiculous react. They're just like, yes, I want that car to fuck me.
They're like, oh
I
my
don't know
god,
what it
that
is.
car is hot.
Yeah,
and
that
I'm
car
like,
is-
what are you talking about?
It doesn't make any sense.
We have to get my wife reading of this now. So when
Which
okay.
one?
So-
Oh, yeah, take it away.
I looked back along the axis of Alern's wife. Alern's wife's elongated oval and 3 rakish engines and wonderfully long shredder still looked so potent.
She hadn't changed at all, even though she was advanced. And no, I have no idea. It's something like that. It just turned into a romance.
my
novel.
wife's rakish engine is just like that's the that like
Yeah.
it's just so
My
I got
wife's
one of
right,
those
yeah.
in the back.
and elongated
Shed,
oval.
of the
Hello.
shed.
My wife spun in space around and around in a wobbly loop. That's it. It kind of loses it after that.
Yeah, and he like makes his way around the back of the ship, and he has to remind us he's trained in everything.
Yeah.
He's
Yes,
been
yes.
trained, and unlike me, when I started any fucking job, knew exactly what he's supposed to do in every situation. He's trained in zero gravity movement. He's apparently excellent at it, and he starts making his way to the time matrix.
It is an interesting difference with the Animorphs in that they aren't trained for any of the things. Like, they're
Yeah.
trained for math and social studies, but
Yeah.
Elfangor has been trained for some of the things that he's engaging in. So, yeah.
So he gets around the back of the ship after timing some little hoof taps on the hull to make
Yeah,
sure
he
he gets
pulls back
there.
on the cable
Yeah.
and then pushes off the ship. It's all very elegant.
And he gets to the time matrix, and he describes it as the egg of some unimaginably huge bird.
He does say that.
Which, don't they only have one bird species on the planet?
I thought they had more than one. I think
They have
were
like
3?
5. I thought they have 5 species total, but maybe you're right. Anyway, the point is like, well, if that's true, then I have no point, and you're going to cut this from the episode. But yes, so he gets to the big time matrix egg, and he hugs it. He wants to hug it, but it's too big. Yeah, and then they pull it back into the ship. Really, nothing fucking happens.
It's true.
Actually, come to think of it.
Well, he
bring it.
He builds up anticipation, basically.
I mean, I guess if you're reading slow, but if you're just skimming it like I did, it's like nothing happens here.
You've read this how many times now, and you've just skimmed
It's
it?
like 5 times. I think it's 5 total times.
He snugged it against the hatch, is what he says he does. Well, Visser 32 is pulling the rope, and he's pushing from the other side. And they manage to get it inside Alarin's wife, and get the door closed so they can turn the air back on.
I never see it coming. It's
Just a joke that keeps giving.
So I get it, yeah.
Alarin set it up in a way that our characters could be making that joke as well. Yeah.
They
That's true.
probably
They're
are.
choosing
We
not
don't
to.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like Jahar literally. Yeah, it's like if a ship was named. I don't know what's a really normal name for like Jeff. Like the time. I'm putting the time matrix in Jeff now. It's going in. All right, it's in there. It's in my Jeff. Like, sorry, Jeff.
So they've got it in, and they're trying to figure out how to activate it while they're dying. Because I said they're going to close the hatch. They don't. I don't know why they don't, actually. I don't know what
so
the problem
Chaplin
was.
plausibly dies. The stakes stay high.
Lauren is actually dying faster than everyone else, too. I feel like she's
Yeah, 'cause
bleeding from her eyes, and they're not saying that. Like,
Whatever
Well,
those...
her bag actually did have the quantum virus in it.
I was going to say, whatever those subtler ingredients were, they don't suit humans very well.
Yeah.
Tuberculosis.
So they figure you got to touch this thing to turn it on and use it. It's got to be a direct mind link, and you gotta physically touch it.
there's a lot of prejudice happening,
gotta,
too.
Kind of got to snuggle it. Oh, say more about the prejudice.
Well, just that they're going, well done, Andalite. Go ahead, Yerk. Like,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
they're so at odds right now. It's almost like they're
It's
at
pretty
war.
cute.
So they realize that, through like thought speech, through telepathy, they start to activate
Yeah,
it?
but you have to touch it, though.
Yeah, you gotta touch it. Yeah, you have to give it a... It's like in... I bring this up every few episodes, but it's like in Gundam when they're flying through space
Yeah.
and they don't want to broadcast signals, so they all hold on to each other. It's like it beams through the contact. Yeah. Maybe I can try and bring that up every episode. Also, I don't know if you guys felt this, but like 20 minutes ago in episode time, we started saying Elfy instead of Elfangor, and I kind of love it. Did you
We
guys
were doing
feel
it in the
that?
comments, too.
We were
I
doing
know,
it in
but
the
it feels
comments.
like we finally shifted. Like we've said it.
Well,
in
he's giving
other
big Elfy
episodes, and
vibes.
Big Elfy vibes.
I mean, look
Do you
at it,
guys
he's green.
Do you guys remember 2003's Elfy with Will Ferrell?
See, I made a Wicked reference, so there you go.
Nice.
Also, for the listener, I don't know when you're hearing this, but we are in holiday season right now. So that might also feed into it. We've been reading this book since the summer.
That's true.
That's true. We're
But
done.
we know you
We're
haven't
done.
noticed that yet, so...
We're gonna get through this. We're gonna
We are
get through
getting
this.
through
Let's
it.
do
We're
it.
making-
So they all start to touch the time matrix, and once Elfy says aloud that it's touch activated, fucking Hansy McGee, who, and by that I mean Visser 32, just throws a hand onto it. And here's where I'm confused. This is an obvious opening for just slicing that bad boy off.
Oh, you're right. He
it's
loves
like-
to cut off arms.
Yeah, and it's like, if he doesn't get the link, it's like when somebody's typing in their password on the time matrix. If you get those arms off, it runs in the family. You know, Axe is going to be de-handing people all the time. I'm just saying, I think you strike while the iron is touching the time matrix.
But
He has
It's
said,
the
though,
old
that he
adage.
worries he wouldn't be able to beat Visser 32 in a tail fight because he has all of Alarin's knowledge.
well,
And
then
also,
go for the tail.
it's more complicated when you want to hold the hand that you also want to cut off, you know? So
That's true.
we've
You
all
don't
dealt
want-
with this, so...
That's true. That's true. That is wow. Yeah, remember when you were a spy for a while, and your partner like was your mortal enemy,
Yeah.
and you guys were handcuffed together, and you guys had those knives, and we were all in our small apartment in West Philly. It was really awkward, and you guys threw
Also
a dinner
sensual.
party, and I tried to sit
fuck are you
between you, and
talking
I noticed that you two were handcuffed together, Eddie.
Yeah.
and I tried to sit between you, and I pulled your chair, and I was like, no, I want to
How
sit
do you
between
think spies work, Chris?
I think they throw a lot of dinner parties, if I'm being honest.
Okay. Anyway, we're touching the time matrix and possibly also touching each other. So,
Right, so
Touching
Mr.
me.
32 touching you, touching me, got you,
Time Matrix 2.
I believe in a time matrix left.
Time. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, seeing Mr. 32 going for the time matrix, Elfangor's like, I gotta touch it too. He's gonna influence the time matrix. And so he touches it, and boom! It's like a pomegranate exploded. And there were arrows everywhere. And you could just see all the pieces of everything everywhere. The
he could see
familiarity of Aloran's wife. She wasn't a vessel anymore, but an amazing array of fragments.
I've often said that about her. And also, he could see through their bodies somehow. Like, he could, see their beating hearts. He even, this is my favorite part, he stops to linger on the powerful muscles of the tail.
He does.
He looks over at Aloran and is like, dang.
that tail.
Some tail muscles.
Yeah, which is especially funny. I think what we're finding out is that Elfy is definitely queer. I think, it's where his eye generally lands.
I want to be clear. Despite being in what is technically a hetero relationship with Lauren, if you can call this a relationship,
It's a
it's definitely
alien.
queer, given
Right.
that it's not an Andalite.
Yeah.
The only thing that's not queer about it is how Christian it is.
That's
That's
true.
the only thing that's frustrating about this. But so I don't want to give him the queer card for that. I do want to give him the queer card for checking out Aloran's thick tail.
Yeah.
I think no.
No,
Ed?
I don't disagree.
You want
We
to?
haven't
You want to
been
come?
given
all right.
a lot of I don't know, description of any sort of sexual dimorphism between Andalite sexes.
Right, we haven't
So
heard
we
about Andalite
actually-
titties. We had an episode named after
That's
that,
true.
I believe.
We've seen
we
them on the
actually
cover of
don't-
Hork Bashir Chronicles, but
Yeah, and Hustler.
But we don't actually know for sure, based on the text, that Andalite males and females look any different at all.
We have no idea. Yeah, we have no idea.
yeah.
No, well, all we know is that Axe can be distracted by the presence, not even the appearance.
He claims, there
Yeah.
was a girl.
Yeah, in his class, yeah. Yeah, I think I forget, because it's been so long since we've been around our main crew.
Oh, God, I miss them.
I
I
wonder how
miss
he's
them.
I miss
doing.
middle school and high school and lockers.
My God, I don't even remember my locker combination, you guys.
But I feel like, wait, who is it that I'm thinking of when we are told that is it Jake? It might be Jake. We're told they're interested in Rachel or Cassie, I think. And then it must be Jake with Cassie. And but he always seems distracted by Tobias. Is it Tobias?
Well, Tobias is a bird.
That's true. Yeah. I feel like I should.
I mean, we did have the pile of limbs with Juan and Terry, but
Oh, yeah.
But
and
something
the Greek
about
wrestling with Marco and Jake.
Elfangor.
that was so unhinged. He brought it up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something about Elfangor telling us he's interested in Lauren, but hinting to us he's much more interested in Visser 32. Reminds me of another dynamic in the main series books, and I can't remember.
Yeah.
Is it Marco? Maybe it's Marco.
It might be it might be Jake talking about Axe and Elfangor, actually, about the tail and the...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to pin down, but I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah. It reminds me of one of the dynamics from the main books, but I just can't remember. Yeah.
Well, there's Rachel liking boys more as birds. Happens to everybody.
Yeah.
There's Marco, obviously bi icon
Yeah.
Marco.
Bicon.
And then there's just Jake and Tobias who can't admit anything to themselves about each other.
Yeah.
And
Also
and
Tobias
then
and
there's-
Rachel.
Yeah. Then there's powerful sword lesbian Cassie, who yeah.
When did she become a sword lesbian?
I think that's mostly
know.
Rachel. I think Rachel's
I
a
think-
sword
yeah.
lesbian.
Yes, yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
She is. But yeah. I want Cassie to
Cassie's
be
the
there too.
cottagecore lesbian.
Incidentally, I bought this role playing game that I think we should do as Patreon content. So I'll signal this now. Or, well, it might get awkward. Actually, it might get awkward. Never mind. It's called Thirsty Sword Lesbians.
Nice.
So Miranda, you can't come.
So Chris and I will play thirsty sword lesbians together.
And that won't be weird at all. That won't be weird at all. All right, fine. I'll pick a better
Chris, you
game.
start
I
inviting.
taught you about sword lesbians. You didn't know about sword lesbians until like a
I
year
thought I
ago.
found out. No, that's not true because I knew about them because of Carly Rae. Because lesbians were giving Carly Rae Jepsen swords on her like 2019 tour or whatever.
Chris, you need a clubhouse where you invite people to play a secret game of thirsty sword
Yeah,
lesbians.
yeah, you're right. Like, hey, everybody, come over. I need you here at 6.
This
Bring
is
a
like
pencil.
when I'm gonna do we're gonna do a group read of Dick Fight Island.
Oh.
That sounds great.
What's Dick
Is that
Fight
what
Island?
we're doing? Is that how do we get the license to that?
Who owns Dick Fight Island?
Anyway, all of this is upcoming. I
think it's
no pun
Jazz.
intended on
Patreon.
Patreon.
Oh, it's published by Sublime. The Boys Love imprint of Viz Media. Good for Viz.
So, just to jump back to the plot.
I saw the muscles
Love
of
you,
the tail.
James.
That's where we left
Yeah,
off.
that's where
I
we
wonder
are.
why that
Yeah.
set us off on a... I'm not even sure what we're...
Excuse you?
Oh, we got it.
Is that the dick?
Yeah.
Well, that's
you-
what they fight with.
Yeah, no, it's actually, it's Dick
Yeah, but
Fight Island.
a lot of the pictures are straight on, so it's hard to differentiate the depth.
That's
Oh,
true.
I see it now.
Wow.
Wow.
That seems...
Yowza. Miranda, this is not safe for work. No.
And we are
I saw it at a convention, and I was like, "So what is
Eddie's
it? They
gonna
fight
bring that
with
up
their
after a meeting.
dicks." Is
They
like the
fight-
guy was like, "No, you think I'm kidding?
Yeah,
they fight with their dicks."
It seems like they fight with their cod pieces.
That's what I'm gonna
Oh,
add.
that's
Are
fair.
those-
That's fair.
I'm gonna add to my
Yeah.
work agenda. It'll be like discuss winter break timing or something, and then it'll be Dick Fight Island, and then hey, they fight with their dicks.
Okay, guys.
Okay.
But when we crack open the pomegranate that is time and space
Right.
and we can see into it, it's really just a perfect tensioning device. It's really just exploring all the secrets that we've had to discover and reveal about the people we were trusting. In fact, one of the juiciest tidbits, and this makes no sense at all, but Elfy claims that in seeing this pomegranate unfurled, he can see the exact decision, the tangible idea of a decision in the brain of Alaran, now Visser 32's despairing brain. In the brain, he can see it when he decided to use the quantum virus, which is such a wonderful, that's like just such a juicy, like it makes no sense and I adore it.
yeah,
He can see the year on Alarin's brain.
yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
that like
And
a
he
living
can see
blankie.
the time stretching back, their paths diverging, and then the moment where they cross.
He saw the whole timeline of the black hole.
Yeah.
He saw
Yeah.
it grow up and go to Star College
has
and
this
then flunk
power.
out.
But he ignores. He has an opportunity to learn all, not just one, but all of Alarin's ship secrets, and he
Oh, that's
doesn't
true.
pursue it. We don't get any
It's
of
true.
them.
Instead, he watches
It's
his
true.
brain, watching his brain, watching his brain.
Yeah, boring.
Painting his brain, painting his brain, painting his brain. Yeah, it is boring. Frankly, yeah.
But you know,
It's
that's
like
the kind of
watching-
line that blows your mind when you're 13 and reading
Yeah.
the first sci-fi
Oh, yeah.
novel.
It's true.
But then he starts to get images of a different place. The Year Homeworld.
No.
Why? Why is he suddenly thinking about the Year Homeworld?
Oh no.
Visser 32. He's touching the time matrix. He's steering it. He's telling it to take him there.
I kind of just imagine that it's like two people typing into the same Google search.
Oh, see, I was seeing like the Super Saiyan beams pushing back
Oh,
against
that's
each
better.
other.
That's better. That's more cinematic than mine. But I bet you mine will be in a movie in the next 5 years.
So Elfangor, Elfy, starts to imagine his own home world, his own Andalite world. I had to fight it to resist the Visser. I summoned up an image in my head. So he sees the part of the Andalite world where he had grown up, the trees, the grass, the sky. And then, suddenly, images of Earth, which he's only seen in cigarette ads, I think, start mixing
Yeah, that's
in
right.
to this world that they're building as well.
And guess what? Would you believe it? Loren's touching the crap out of that time
And
matrix.
she's got a strong brain.
Yeah.
stronger than Alaran and Elfy, or as strong at least.
Yeah.
And as this wizard battle which famously not
Mexican
cinematic.
wizard standoff.
It would be if they weren't all already shooting. But when this is happening, they start to transport. Something starts to change about their environment in general. And I'll just read this last section. I realized something else had changed. The black hole was further away now. The Jahar could still be seen, but it too was further away. We were moving. The time matrix had been programmed, and we were moving through time. The last memory I had, as the cold collapsed my consciousness, was of someone vast and incredible, a being like nothing I could have imagined. It saw me, it saw us, and it laughed. Big Elemis vibes from this.
Big Elemis vibes,
Big.
for sure.
No, you don't think? It sounds like Werner Herzog.
So
to me.
what do we think that laugh sounds like?
I'm saying it's a big ha ha.
Yeah, no. I just
Like that's what I think it sounds.
well now
like.
that I've heard that, yes, I think you're right. Yeah, that does sound like the Elements.
As we've defined it. We've ruined this series. I'm so sorry, everybody. All right. So we
Thanks for listening to Anidorks. We'll be back soon with lots more to say. Until the Andalites return, or at least until next time. See you soon!